The universe is 93 billion light-years across. Within it, there is one galaxy we call home. Within that galaxy, one solar system. Within that solar system, one small, blue, impossibly lucky planet, spinning quietly in the dark, completely unaware of how rare it is. And for the vast majority of human history, not a single one of the 8 billion people living on that planet had ever left it. We'd looked up at the moon for 100,000 years before we touched it. And then, for 50 years after we did, we stopped going. Until 10 days that changed everything. This is Artemis II. For 50 years, human beings stayed close to home. After the final Apollo mission landed in 1972, we sent robots, telescopes, and rovers, but never ourselves. The moon became a place we studied from a distance, like a painting locked behind glass. Then, on a morning that will be written into every history book that follows, 4 astronauts climbed aboard a spacecraft called Integrity, sat atop the most powerful rocket ever assembled, NASA's Space Launch System, and changed that forever, 695,081 miles. That was the total distance of their journey, and every single mile of it was brand new territory for humanity. Kennedy Space Center, Launch Day. The ground shakes before you even hear it. That's how much raw force the Space Launch System produces at ignition. 8.8 million pounds of thrust, rattling the bones of every single person standing in that crowd. When Integrity cleared the tower, it wasn't just a rocket leaving a launch pad. It was the opening sentence of a story that had been waiting 50 years to be told. The crew had trained for this moment thousands of times. They knew every switch, every alarm, every sequence. But there is no simulation for the feeling of your body being pressed into a seat at forces that would make most people black out, while the planet you've lived on your entire life shrinks to the size of a marble beneath you. Within minutes, they were in orbit, and the real mission had only just begun. Space travel has a strange rhythm to it. It is long stretches of quiet, punctuated by moments of extraordinary intensity. The crew of Integrity spent days crossing the void between Earth and Moon, eating, sleeping, running experiments, and doing the kinds of mundane things that seem almost absurd against the backdrop of infinite blackness outside the windows. But space, as it always does, had a few surprises waiting. Among the challenges the crew faced was a malfunction that became one of the more talked about moments of the mission. A problem with the spacecraft's toilet system. In space, even the most basic human functions become engineering problems. And when that system started acting up, the crew had to improvise. It's a reminder that beyond all the spectacle, 4 very human people were living inside that capsule, navigating the unglamorous realities of deep space alongside the extraordinary ones. The spacecraft performed, the crew adapted, and Integrity kept flying. Then came the moment everything had been building toward. The moon. Not from a photograph, not from a telescope, from a window just a few thousand miles away. The crew of Integrity swept around the far side of the moon, the side that no human eye can see from Earth. The side that for most of human history was pure mystery. Up close, it is a world of brutal, ancient violence. Craters stacked on craters, mountains thrown up by impacts billions of years old. A landscape that has not changed in longer than life has existed on our planet. During the flyby, mission scientists identified new landmarks on the lunar surface, features that had never been formally recognized or named before. The crew of Integrity didn't just fly past the moon. They mapped it. They documented it. They left their fingerprints on it in the form of knowledge. And then, as the spacecraft came back around the lunar horizon, Earth appeared. Earthrise, a blue and white crescent rising slowly over the ancient gray surface of the moon. The crew had all seen photographs of this moment, taken by the Apollo astronauts, taken by probes and orbiters, but no photograph had ever fully captured what it means to see your entire world, every person you've ever loved, every place you've ever been, reduced to a single fragile sphere hanging in the darkness. One crew member reportedly went silent for nearly 2 minutes, just watching. Some moments are beyond words, but the moon wasn't the only spectacle waiting for them. At a distance that no human being had ever observed from before, the crew of Integrity witnessed a total solar eclipse. Not from the ground, not from an airplane, but from deep space. The geometry was perfect. The sun, the Earth, and the spacecraft aligned in a way that allowed the crew to watch our planet's shadow swallow the sun entirely, producing a ring of fire visible at the edge of the Earth's atmosphere. From the ground, a solar eclipse lasts minutes. From where Integrity was positioned, the crew watched the event unfold across a scale that is almost incomprehensible. No human being had ever seen a solar eclipse like this before. None ever will again, not in exactly this way, from exactly this distance, at exactly this moment in history. Some of what the crew experienced cannot be recreated. It belongs only to them. Coming home is almost as dangerous as leaving. When Integrity hit Earth's upper atmosphere on its return, it was traveling at Mach 32 times the speed of sound. The heat shield on the base of the capsule had one job: keep 4 human beings alive inside a fireball, reaching temperatures of 5,000 degrees Fahrenheit. From the outside, the capsule looked like a meteor, a blazing streak of plasma and superheated air, falling toward the Pacific Ocean at a velocity that would reduce most objects to nothing. Inside, the crew felt the deceleration as a physical force pressing them back into their seats. The windows glowed. Communications went dark, as they always do during re-entry, the plasma surrounding the capsule blocks. All radio signals leaving mission control in silence, waiting, hoping. And then, the parachutes deployed, splashdown. Recovery crews had been positioned in the Pacific for hours. The capsule hit the water, the hatches were opened, and one by one, the crew of Integrity stepped out into the sunlight, having just returned from the furthest journey any human beings had taken in over half a century. Here's the thing about Artemis II that gets lost in the spectacle. It wasn't just a mission. It was a proof of concept. Every system that worked, the rocket, the capsule, the life support, the navigation, the re-entry, the recovery, is the same system that will one day carry astronauts all the way to the lunar surface. Artemis III, the mission that will actually land on the moon, is being built on everything learned from this flight. The data collected during those 10 days is already being analyzed. The landmarks identified on the lunar far side will appear on future mission maps. The engineering problems encountered, including, yes, the space toilet, will be fixed before the next crew flies. This is how exploration actually works. Not in a single giant leap, but in a series of steps, each one making the next possible. Artemis II was step 1 of humanity's return to the moon. And if history is any guide, the steps that follow will take us further than anyone alive today can fully imagine. 50 years ago, we left the moon and didn't look back. Now we're going back, not for a visit, not for a flag, but to build something there, to learn something there, to use the moon as the launch pad for the next chapter, one that reaches toward Mars, toward the outer planets, toward destinations we don't yet have names for. The crew of Integrity went further than any humans in history, and they came back to tell us what they saw, That story is just getting started. If this mission moved you, hit like, drop a comment about which moment hit hardest, and subscribe so you don't miss what comes next. Because if Artemis II was the beginning, we are nowhere near the end.